Iowa State has quietly been one of the biggest surprises in college football this year, and if a couple of things go their way, they're going to be in the Big 12 championship game. Iowa State has a number of really intriguing draft prospects as well. For the second year in a row, the Cyclones seem to have a big, athletic cornerback that is flying up draft boards, and if he performs well at the Senior Bowl, I think we could hear his name called relatively early in the 2025 NFL Draft, and that player is cornerback Darien Porter. Porter is a former wide receiver converted to a corner, and he has put up some incredible numbers this year, but with the lack of elite production throughout his career and some other concerns, where does he rank in the cornerback class? That is what we will be discussing in today's video. But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Also, be sure to check out my Patreon page, where for $5 a month, you guys will get full exclusive access to my in-depth draft guide with over 550 prospect evaluations and scouting reports, as well as one-on-one player interviews. If you join as a free member, you will be able to participate in weekly polls to help me decide which prospect spotlights I do. Leave a comment and let me know which players you guys are interested in seeing in a future video, and without further ado, let's take a closer look at Darien Porter. Porter is a player who has not played a ton in his collegiate career, but when he's been on the field, he has produced. He didn't play much in 2023, only playing in 115 total snaps, but he finished the year with 5 tackles, a run stop, and only allowed 61 yards in coverage. 2024 has been his big breakout season. He has played in 362 snaps for the Cyclones, only allowing 63 yards on the season with 3 interceptions, 2 pass deflections, 11 tackles, and 4 run stops for the Cyclones. And while he hasn't put up crazy numbers, people are definitely starting to see a high ceiling for Darien Porter. Porter has some of the best size of any cornerback in this draft class. He's 6'4", 200 pounds, and he has incredible length on the boundary as well. But he also has some elite athleticism to go along with it. His long speed is absolutely fantastic, and he shows the ability to stick to a wide receiver's hip and play the deep ball. But he also has really fluid hips, and his change of direction is absolutely phenomenal. And as a straight athlete, Porter brings some very intriguing upside. My favorite thing about Porter is his man-to-man ability, particularly in press coverage. He is a very physical cornerback who has a strong initial punch at the line of scrimmage, and he has the fluid hips to stay glued to wide receivers. He can stop and go on a dime and has the instincts to jump routes and make plays on the football. I think he's going to profile best in a heavy press coverage scheme, man-to-man, where he can play one-on-one, get wide receivers on an island, and he can lock them down because that's what he's done all year at Iowa State. We mentioned that Porter is a former wide receiver, and he showcases it. He has a nose for the football, and his ball skills are remarkable. He jumps routes, he doesn't shy away from physicality, and it has shown up in the stat sheet particularly this year. Yes, it's only 3 interceptions and 2 pass deflections, and while on paper that might not seem like elite, it seems like time and time again he's in the vicinity of the football, making a play, and the tools are there for him to be a ball-hawking type of cornerback. The biggest issue that I have with Porter, it is the lack of production. Yes, he has been making the transition to cornerback, but he still hasn't put up great numbers when he has been on the field. He hasn't even played 1,000 snaps at the collegiate level, and that does worry me slightly about him. The other thing I worry about is his tackling, and to be completely frank, he's been a pretty terrible tackler throughout his career. His play strength is not very great, and I think that's what it comes down to. He has a near 20% missed tackle rate, which I don't like, but on top of that, I don't think he had a great motor to come down and defend the run. It seems like he would get stagnant, and he didn't really show a willingness to come downhill and do the dirty work in the run game, which is not going to fly for him at the NFL level. So I'd like to see a little bit more improvement as a run defender, and just an overall improvement as a tackler. Porter is a really interesting cornerback. He's been incredible this year for the Cyclones, but is yet to really put together a full body of work. The tools are certainly there. but his tackling and run defense really concern me about what he could potentially be, and he's still a big project in this draft class. He is my number 7 corner in the draft. I've seen a lot of people put him in their early top 5s, and while I get the hype, I can't quite get on the hype train just yet. He's a very good player who's got speed and movement skills and physicality and all the things I like, but I gotta see more, and we just don't have a big enough sample size from Porter to really know what he is. He is my number 50 overall player in the draft class. I mentioned it earlier, but given his physicality, speed, and fluid hips, I would love to see Porter utilized in a heavy press coverage scheme. I think that's where his traits help him profile, and I would argue he is one of the best press corners in the entire draft. He's so good in one-on-one situations at just locking wide receivers down, and I think that's where he's going to thrive in the NFL, and that's where I'd like to see him play. My player comparison for Darien Porter is Tampa Bay Buccaneers cornerback Zion McCollum. Both of them have elite speed and physical tools, but were viewed as raw prospects coming out of the draft. McCollum sat on ice for the first couple of years with Tampa Bay, coming out of Sam Houston, but he learned a little bit, got reps at the NFL level, and he's breaking out this year and has been one of the better cornerbacks in all of football. I think Darien Porter could have a very similar career path. They both have very similar size and athleticism, and I think it's going to take a little bit of time for Porter to really get acclimated to the NFL game, but when he does, I think he could be a really solid player. Darien Porter is a physical cornerback. He has the press man feel I love to see. He has speed, and if he shows out at the combine, could be a sneaky first-round pick. I am a big fan of his, and ultimately, I believe that Darien Porter will be a top 50 pick in the 2025 NFL Draft.